Alarming figures reveal prisoners held for years without a verdict. Prime Minister describes late Steven Kamma as a man of calibre. And operations at Ok Tedi recommenced today.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Genia.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. Disturbing figures released by the Landowner prison have hinted at a national crisis where young Papua New Guinean men are being held in prison for up to 10 years without a final decision by the courts. A list of 200 prisoners obtained by EMTV News has revealed that some prisoners have been confined without trial for close to a decade. It's a frightening trend that has contributed to the frustration by inmates and subsequent prison breaks.
This 5-page list of prisoners held in remand is from 2014, but many are still being held in Buimo. Some escaped last Thursday during the breakout. What has come to light yet again is that many of the 199 people have been here for more than 12 months with no certainty of trial. Two of the longest-serving prisoners on remand have served 8 and 9 years respectively. They appeared for mention in 2005 and 2006 and are still waiting for a proper trial and sentencing.
For all legal purposes, they are innocent because until they are proven guilty. So at that point in time, they are still innocent people. So you have to accord them the basic human dignity, which is declared right under the UN conventions.
Without a proper remand center in Morobe province, the Papua New Guinea government, through the Correctional Service, has breached UN protocols of prisoner care and human rights.
We now have 120 inmates in a cell, and they're taking sleep shifts, meaning some plauli silid, the rest are wide awake. And so they have their time, they wake those sleeping ones, and then the next sleep shift happens.
Today, a frustrated Morobe governor said the lack of attention to the needs of the Correctional Service establishment is contributing to a dip in public and business confidence.
We are now reduced to less than 100 staff in there, trying to look after a massive population of 700 plus prisoners in there. That's a big ask, you know. And so what we immediately need is an injection of funding from the government so that they can not only beef up manpower, but improve on the infrastructure.
How the CIS officers chose to shoot them and kill as many as 12 of them itself is a disaster in itself. We need prompt investigations. Because people are dead, we need to find out what caused their death, what are the reasons behind it.
Police resources are stretched, prison officers are outnumbered, and the prisoners pushed to their limits by the overcrowding. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Lae District is working with churches to combat homebrew consumption and production in places identified as hotspots. They've identified Boundary Road and Sialum Settlement as two troubled areas. Lae MP Lujaya Koza says to take away steam from communities would mean giving alternative income sources to those who cook and sell. Bethany Harriman with this report.
Amidst the growth of businesses in the Lae District is a darker side, the recurring cases of serious crimes. Last year at the Boundary Road and Sialum Settlement, more than 50 houses were burnt down and 4 people were killed in a fight that lasted for 3 months. The root cause was homebrew consumption.
Already on the ground, there is a feeding program by women from these areas of Kapiak Street and Boundary Road.
9 out of 10 cases reported to Lae Police daily directly results from alcohol consumption. The Lae District Administration is partnering with different stakeholders to deal with the problem. Women's groups and churches are getting involved.
2 days ago, I addressed those women at the AOG Church in Eriku and said we're going to support them. But our intervention is this: we want to conduct a preach and build with the help of the body of Christ in Lae.
But they'll need more support from all levels of government, including agencies tasked to deal with drug offenders.
Narcotics Board is not performing its functions, and one of its functions is to look at rehabilitation of drunkards, and also to make sure that homebrew product is being minimized by working together with liquor licensing boards. And
Deputy Opposition Leader and Bulolo MP Sam Basil has similar problems in his district. The general sentiment from advocates is people need economic empowerment.
With providing the finance, the opportunities, the training, everything, it's a whole holistic approach to going to the people at the settlements. And
while steam has been a contributing factor for the crimes, it hasn't stopped youths and even women from cooking and selling the illegal alcohol. Last week, police in Kamkumung caught a mother of 4.
The homebrew issue needs support from all levels of government and the private sector. People need opportunities created by the national government and business houses. It's become evident that those drinking and producing homebrew are unemployed with little cash and a lot of time on their hands. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
Peter Sharp was released on a 2,000 kina bail at 2 this afternoon after his bail application was granted by the Kokopo National Court, while Captain Eugene Kauta remained in police custody until his bail application was processed. Mr. Sharp and Captain Kauta were arrested yesterday and charged for operating an unseaworthy MV Kimber Queen, which ran aground on Lassell Bay in East New Britain last December. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Peter Sharp and Captain Eugene Kauta appeared for mention at the Kokopo District Court at 9 a.m. this morning. Mr. Sharp and Captain Kauta were arrested yesterday by Kokopo police for operating an unseaworthy vessel. Both men were refused bail yesterday and remained in police custody until they appeared in court this morning. Their case was adjourned to the 15th of this month to allow police to collect adequate evidence from witnesses before they prosecute Sharp and Kauta.
If they wish to apply for bail, then they have to make an application to the National Court. So that information was disseminated, and I think the lawyer is doing the application now. So anytime when the National Court grants them bail, they will come. But otherwise, we don't have the powers to release them.
Peter Sharp's lawyers had placed Sharp's and Kauta's bail application this morning before the National Court after it was refused yesterday on grounds of Sharp's pending Rabaul Queen disaster case. By 2 p.m. this afternoon, the bail was granted by the National Court after the court reconsidered Mr. Sharp's deteriorating health condition. Sharp was set free immediately after his bail application was granted, while Captain Eugene Kauta will remain in police custody until his bail application is processed.
Their certificate of competency was not, revalidated for the last 5 years by law.
Mr. Sharp was arrested and charged yesterday with 1 count of sending an unseaworthy ship to sea, while Captain Eugene Kauta was charged with 1 count of taking an unseaworthy ship to sea. Sharp's passenger vessel, MV Kimber Queen, captained by Eugene Kauta, ran aground at the Elizabeth Reef in Lassell Bay in the binding LLG of East New Britain in December last year. The 49 passengers and 12 crew members on board were rescued a few hours later unarmed. This incident wasn't the first time that Sharp was out on a bail condition. Similar incidents involving the Rabaul Queen disaster in 2012 had him arrested and charged for manslaughter, but was released on a 5,000 kina bail. Sharp's shipping business has since been placed under the spotlight after MV Rabaul Queen sank off the coast of Morobe, killing more than 200 people on board. And after 4 years, many of those who lost their loved ones in this maritime disaster haven't found peace yet. Meanwhile, Sharp's pending Rabaul Queen case will go before the court on the 14th of April this year. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has described the late Bougainville National Parliamentarian Steven Kamma as a man of peace, integrity and honesty. Paying his last respects at the state funeral today, the Prime Minister said the late Kamma served Papua New Guinea with pride as a minister and member of Parliament. a role he served with loyalty and commitment.
A simple Bougainvillean from CY, raised in the village, but was determined with the goal to be successful in life. And that's what that attracted hundreds who flocked in to Sioni Kami Memorial Church in Port Moresby to pay their final respects and bid farewell to this man of calibre, the late Steven Kamma. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill firstly thanked Kamma's family and people of Bougainville for giving Papua New Guinea a good leader.
Thank you for sharing Minister Kamma and his life with our nation. We offer our sympathies.
The Prime Minister said the late Kamma was proactive with his ministerial duties as Bougainville Affairs Minister. He built bridges that strengthened dialogue between the national and autonomous Bougainville governments, considering its sensitivity.
But through his work, our government has done more over the last 4 years in Bougainville than any other time in the history of our country. It required patience and commitment, and Minister Kamma displayed those during those difficult times that we had to deal with restoration of basic services back in Bougainville.
Pamela, his only daughter, thanked God for his father's life.
You are loving, caring, generous, but most of all, you are honest and hardworking. That's what we all admire about you. Like your last days with me, you'd always tell me, I have a goal and a vision to be successful in life.
The late Kamma was a character of his own who shared time with people in all walks of life.
We've all come to know and admire and respect Steven Kamma, firstly as a first-class businessman, secondly as a real man in the real sense of the word, an honest man and a true leader of this country.
His character was, he was a keen listener. He was a keen listener to what you have to say, or others have to say, at different levels.
The late Steven Kamma passed away in Philippines at age 54 while seeking medical treatment after suffering from chronic kidney failure and diabetes. The body of the late national parliamentarian will be flown home to the autonomous region of Bougainville tomorrow and laid to rest in his home village. Steven Haklitz, National EMTV News.
And among stories after the break, Ok Tedi mine recommenced operations and former Attorney General Kirangakua estimates Papua New Guinea's debt at 20 billion kina. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Operations at the largest mine in Papua New Guinea, Ok Tedi mine in Western Province, recommenced today. This follows the statutory safety approval granted by Mineral Resources Authority. OTML Managing Director Peter Graham spoke to EMTV from Tababil today, outlining the immediate priorities for the mine.
In August 2015, operations at Ok Tedi in Western Province had been forced to shut down following a prolonged drought. Today, the mine officially restarted its operations, a pleasing result for OTML Managing Director Peter Graham.
Today is a very exciting day for Ok Tedi employees. After some almost 7 months, operations restarted first thing this morning. So we're finally back in production and there's a great mood on site. People are very excited about the prospect of getting started again.
According to Mr. Graham, the safety of all OTML staff remains the immediate priority.
Our immediate priorities are very clear. That's the safety of all of our employees. With people having been away from site for so long, it's critical that we get everyone focused on the tasks at hand and they understand the risks they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because we want to make sure that nobody gets hurt as we come back up. Beyond that, our focus is on productivity and costs. They're the things that we can control. We can't control prices, but we can control the amount of product we produce every day and how much that costs us to produce.
The recommencement of operations at Ok Tedi had largely been dependent on a change in the water levels of the Fly River, with recent rains in the area providing favourable conditions for the mine to consider restarting its operations. And with the Mineral Resources Authority confirming the mine's safety requirements over the last 7 days, OTML has wasted no time in bringing back its employees on site.
The river levels are up and we've got good stocks of all of our critical materials. So we're in a good shape now to move forward and move into continuous production henceforth. Yes, we've been bringing employees back progressively over the last few weeks, and as of today we've got something like 800 employees on site, which is a little more than half of our total workforce. So we're well underway to getting back to full normal operations.
There are challenges that remain, challenges which the company is confident that it can overcome.
It's clearly, having been out of operations for 7 months, our cash position as we come back up is pretty tight on restart. But we do have adequate cash to get us through an efficient restart. We've managed cash carefully through the dry weather period. And even with prices at $2 a pound for copper, which is about half what it was 4 years ago, we expect to be profitable this year.
Mary Batulo, National EMTV News.
Members of the Gulf Elk Antelope Bluff Association say the Gulf Province is capable of processing oil and gas. Chairman Tom Tautore says it is in the best interest of the people and the provincial government for a no-pipeline policy. He says the government and developers must work together for the benefit of the resource owners and Gulf's development.
A recent publication in one of the dailies has caused this landowner group to make their stand and support a new pipeline project on the shores of Cochin Bay near Port Moresby. They say lessons by the PNG LNG project has called for the downstream processing of oil and gas in the province. Chairman Tom Tautore says the new pipeline policy has been debated and is a concern for all the Gulf people.
From the west to the east, from the central to the north, whole of Gulf population, we decline that we will not allow the pipeline to come through to Cochin Bay here in Port Moresby.
The Elk Antelope project is the next LNG project in the country, and while the government's interest under Komer Petroleum Holding is to build a pipeline from Gulf to the shores of Cochin Bay, landowners think otherwise.
Inform the people of Gulf Province first. Get the views of the people of the Gulf Province.
Group Secretary Andy Roberts says the processing of gas and oil in Gulf will only see developments in the province in all sectors.
Other provinces of this country are already been developed. Our Gulf province is 40 years way behind. So we want to see that our natural resources as oil and gas must all be developed in the Gulf province so the people, they receive a maximum benefit.
The group called on KPH Managing Director Wapu Song to withdraw his statement and share ideas with landowners. The Bluff landowners also called on Petroleum and Energy Minister Ben Micah to speed up the clan vetting process, which has started on a slow note.
To speed up the clan vetting and the ILGs for our people in the province before any operation starts in Gulf Province or any shipment.
Meanwhile, Minister Micah says the department has made directives for officers to process clan vetting in the next 3 months. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Baya, outside of Mount Hagen, is a district slowly recovering from an aftermath of the recent dry spell that has plagued almost all parts of the country. Subsistence farmers at Kambia village in Baya say the dry spell's long-term effects have destroyed most of their gardens, leaving many hungry.
This family at Baya area is still feeling long-term effects of the recent dry spell that killed up most of their food crops and dried nearby creeks. The staple crop cacao survived the drought, but seeds for other crops like beans and corn were destroyed.
Dry season been come up also 8 months. So people sleep hungry coming up now. Rain come back and hungry season in been background ground. Adlo people have steam kege.
Dick Komer works with the National Agriculture Research Institute. He trains men and women on crop planting techniques. He says the recent dry spell made agricultural training difficult.
I'm not even given seed from Miblo cocoa, na corn, peanut, na bean. Time Mibla training all planning, some all planning good, some all planning bad. Dry season been come up now, and been back more seeds.
He has helped women in his village with replanting methods, but the harvest saw most crops producing less. Sometimes they die before even reaching maturity. For much of Baya, the government's relief supplies and seedlings have not reached them.
Government supply rice bag one more talk like give him or like give him two and now I'm rain. Me planning a little cake and about lene already.
Baya in the Western Highlands is one of many places in the country that suffer the effects of the dry season on their food crops. Food aren't yielding as much as they used to. For the past 8 months, relief supplies didn't come to them, and now they have to deal with a lot more rain than they want to. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
Former Attorney General Karenga Kua was on the FM 100 Talkback show today discussing Papua New Guinea's national debt. Mr. Kua estimates the national debt level to be at about 20 billion kina. He added that the government's current budget plan for 2016 is no longer feasible because of the significant drop in oil prices.
The member for Sinasana Yongomul and former Attorney General Karenga Kua was on the famous Talkback show with host Caligan Tanda this morning. He estimated PNG's national debt level to be about 20 billion kina. He said the government should now be talking about a supplementary budget.
There is a more than 60% decline in the oil price. Therefore, the budget, there's a significant impact on the budget already. So we have a huge debt burden in the vicinity of 20 million. How we are able to service that, I have no idea. Perhaps we should be talking about a supplementary budget in March to bring things into parity, give clarity, and to make it feasible for us to implement.
Mr. Kua said the 2016 budget was estimated on the previous oil prices, but the figures are no longer practical because of the significant drop in those oil prices.
I never believe in supplementary budgets at the end of the financial year, just to fix the books. The real purpose of having a supplementary budget is that's to create discipline. It's to design your expenditure. So you got to do it proactively, ahead of time, not retroactively after all the unbudgeted expenditures had gone.
He said if the government's budget estimates are way off because of the changes in the commodity prices, then the government must think about redoing the budget immediately. This, he said, is vital to bringing estimated expenditures in line with the reduced level of revenue. Mr. Kua said it also provides bureaucrats a roadmap to follow in their revenue collection and in their expenditure management. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3280 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3205, $0.4455 Australian dollars, $0.2913 euro and 35.75 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, cocoa and copper closed higher, while coffee closed the day lower, and palm oil, crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 123.47 points lower, the ASX closed at 41.37 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 41.655 points higher. Police to investigate yesterday's shooting at Koki Market, see piracy in the Central Province and calls for the government to assist Leh Fire Service. I'll be back with the details. Welcome back to the news. Leh's Fire Station Commander Bal Kenna is appealing to the national government to assist the fire service improve its resources and manpower. Kenna says he has just 27 personnel operating from one fire station with a fire truck in a growing city of more than 400,000 people. He added they are desperately in need of political intervention.
Current developments in the country's industrial hub have outpaced the fire service capabilities in terms of its resources and manpower. The fire service is obliged to train and equip the public as well as the business community on fire safety measures in order to minimize damages done on properties when there's a fire. Lay's Fire Service Commander Balkena says with the limited resources and manpower they have, business houses are encouraged to partner with them so that they can be trained in fire safety skills.
We partner together so that we can, put up all our airports, everything together to minimize the damage to lives and property when there's a fire or anything that may happen.
Last Friday, 11 senior managers from the Papindo group of companies graduated after undergoing a week-long training on basic firefighting skills. The training is part of the community partnership with the fire service and the Papindo group of companies. Papindo's Community Fire Brigade will now work alongside Lay Fire Service to respond to fire incidents in the city.
We try to do our best as a Papindo Community Fire Brigade. We do our best to give hand to all fire officers.
The Lay Fire Service lacks the capacity to put out large fires. Since 2012, several major fires have destroyed buildings, affecting businesses. Lay City still needs at least 2 more fire stations that must be well equipped with trained personnel. Its current capacity is unable to cover the growing city. The service is still waiting for the government funding promised in 2014 to improve the Lay Fire Station.
They need to look at our capacity to build another 2 stations also. If they could, under the PSIP or DDA or under the Electoral Development Fund, they can also assist Lay Fire Brigade.
Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lay.
A number of sea piracy cases have been reported along the West Motuan coast of Central Province. Manu Manu Village Councillor Robert Raho said sea pirates often robbed birnut smugglers and made away with huge amount of cash money. In other cases, local boat skippers aiding the transportation of birnut bags were lost out at sea.
After National Capital District Commission through Governor Pois Pakop effected the citywide ban on the sales and chewing of betel nut in and around the city, people have resorted to sea mode of transport to smuggle betel nuts into Port Moresby. This is evident along the Motuan west coast of Central Province. Motuan villages have experienced influx of people who had brought alcohol and marijuana into the area, which is the main cause of law and order problems in the community. Youths in the area have engaged in criminal activities and conflicts have erupted between families, clan members and villages.
We can sit together and address these issues. Maybe we'll come up with good things, Maybe we could make a one-stop buy depot. So our central people can have maximum benefit from this, rather than other people coming here and doing the drugs and alcohol things in the village and spoiling the village community, the peace and harmony in the village.
Manu Manu Village Councillor Robert Rao said there were instances of sea piracy happening out at sea. He said boat operators transporting betel nut bags to Port Moresby were robbed and huge amount of money stolen.
Another instance where the sea piracy, they tried to board the dinghy, and there was a girl here married to Anobara, and they chopped their boy and their men on the arm. And there was another one of his crew guys there who jumped out. He had asthma, and then short wind. He was trying to swim and he died.
In the event, travelers were assaulted and wounded while refusing to hand over cash and belongings to criminals. In other cases, boat skippers aiding betel nut smugglers were lost out at sea. Councillor Rao is warning people to take extra precaution while traveling out at sea. He also warned youths in the area to refrain from engaging in piracy activities. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
A new enforcement approach of the NCDC buai ban will now be targeting birnut chewers. Controller of the ban and Deputy City Manager for Community and Social Services, Hong Kiap, said the new approach will include random roadblocks during peak hours in the morning and in the evening. Mr. Kiap said public motor vehicles like taxis and buses will be stopped and searched for birnut chewers. If anyone is caught red-handed chewing, a 500 kina spot fine will be imposed. He said offenders will be removed from the vehicles, be charged and be jailed if they don't pay the 500 kina spot fine. The bulk of Papua New Guineans at the moment are informal businessmen and women operating on the street. As a result, they have become the target of city councils and police tasked to evict them for illegal use of state land. Food vendors along the Samara circuit in Port Moresby, among others, are faced with possibility that they may be put out of business rather. They are appealing for the government to instead consider creating an avenue for businesses such as theirs to operate as formal businesses.
Food vendors along the Samara circuit are just some of the locals who depend on daily profits to sustain their livelihood. It has, however, become a concern that they are faced with the possibility of being evicted for illegal use of state land. Food vendors like Ian Timothy, who took over from his late mother's business, was sad to think that this could be taken away. Customers from neighbouring offices who depended on this informal market considered it convenient and affordable.
The market people who are selling their stuff here, they even have a better quality than maybe that's some of the products they sell in Mission City. And prices here are affordable and people here are friendly. Places are clean. They look after the place.
Bill Koala, like most customers, agree with Howe that they should be allowed to compete with foreigners in the same business.
Port Moresby is small and it cannot absorb the population, about 1 million. It must encourage informal business somehow. But the formal business favors the foreigners.
Timothy, among other customers, felt that they needed proper facilities to run as formal businesses and appealed to the NCDC authority for their assistance instead.
NCDC, instead of Kamna, Rausi Mipla, also probably making a good setup also in the 7 mile.
Experts from the Small and Medium Enterprise Corporation spoke off camera, saying that it was in the country's best interest to boost informal businesses like theirs into the informal sector to enhance PNG's economic growth and furthermore fall in line with the SME policy. In the meantime, food vendors are looking to get agreement from surrounding organizations and department offices to continue selling their produce. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
A man received bullet wounds to the right side of his chest and is in critical condition at the Port Moresby General Hospital after police opened fire at betel nut vendors at the Koki market yesterday. Another man received 10 stitches to his forehead and was discharged. This afternoon, NCD and Central Police Commander Sylvester Kalaut condemned the shooting, saying police internal investigators will deal with the officers involved.
Kori Maki, 42, from Gulf Province, received 10 stitches to his forehead after members of the police mobile squad shot at betel nut vendors. The incident happened yesterday around 11 a.m. Kori works with PNG Gardener, a company owned by Mosby South MP and Sports and Tourism Minister Justin Tochenko. He was on his normal duty runs but stopped over at the betel nut market for a break when the incident happened.
All come outside sunam. Biliku one player molim tiagas can come outside now. So me piti company going daga go inside lock up man me kai na me abi met na milugi me manolim this la tiagas can shoot straight to me. So milugim tigas kam nam mi abu di miete no garam kam kisimina tigas am go puran la at that moment filiwam da samdi nam mi puran go rana some la few minutes mi stalo ground go na mi feeling pain head lo mi milugo se mi got blood all over the body plan.
He was taken to the Kaugere Health Center for treatment. This afternoon, NCD and Central Commander Sylvester Kalaut confirmed the shooting by members of the mobile squad. The spent cartridges of the live ammunition used were produced as evidence.
I think in the process of them looking for the boy smugglers, there was an incident that happened, and the police, the mobile personnel, as I was told, was Mobile Squad 2. They discharged some ammunition from their firearms.
Identities of those officers involved are known, and police internal investigators began investigating the matter yesterday.
To advise members of the public that internal police investigations have begun. We've got IIU officers now on the ground with me. They've interviewed witnesses, and we will take appropriate actions in due course.
The other victim, identified as Boala Beru, 23, from Abau and Wanigela parentage, received a bullet to the right side of his chest. He is in critical condition at the Port Moresby General Hospital and will undergo surgery tomorrow. This is the second incident in a space of 12 months in the Motu Koitabu village that has seen locals receiving bullet wounds and being admitted to the hospital. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
More than 400 staff at the Mount Hagen Hospital will start a sit-in protest tomorrow. Included are medical doctors, nurses, community health workers and other support staff. They are members of the National Doctors Association, National Nurses Association, National Community Health Workers Association and Allied Health Workers Union. They have started the process of an industrial action. Their petition is with the National Doctors Association head office, awaiting endorsement. They will petition the Western Highlands Provincial Health Authority Board and its executive management. This stems from what they say is the continued deterioration and lack of board and management support to key critical areas for basic healthcare services. Their efforts to get the hospital management to address their issues have fallen on deaf ears. The annual Women's Forum, in conjunction with the US Embassy, got underway today in Port Moresby. Participants from all over the country attended, including university students. This year's forum was co-hosted by the Department of Community Development and the PNG Tribal Foundation.
With the theme of Women Empowering Women and Her Success is Your Success, the second Women's Forum began today here at the Crown Plaza. They had speakers such as the wife of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, Linda Babao, and other influential women talk to participants here at the Women's Forum. Linda Babao O'Neill told participants that with the theme talking on empowering each other, it was important to recognize the fact that women don't work together and the reasons why.
This year's theme, Women Empowering Women, Her Success is Your Success, is on point to start having honest discussions to understand why we are so tough on each other, why we can behave so horribly to each other. Be aware of our own behavior that is stopping us from bridging the gender equality gap.
She also said that women probably feel that way because of the fact there are not enough high positions for women.
To there being fewer women than men in certain positions, giving the impression that there are not enough women positions. So the next woman that's coming along is going to come take your job. But think about it. There are more women in managerial positions or male-dominated in male-dominant areas than in our mothers' and grandmothers' time.
Ms. Babao O'Neill said one of the other reasons why women don't seem to work together is because of the fact that older successful women had to struggle to positions they are in now, while the younger generation have the advantage of technology and that it may have made it harder for women to mentor.
Must have respect for our older generation and understand that they have worked harder to get to the positions they have. They didn't have the tools such as technology, Facebook and internet to get their messages across. They worked their way up during a more difficult time where women didn't have as much opportunities.
The U.S. ambassador to PNG, Catherine Herbert Gray, said that this was her first women's forum and she hoped that women in PNG get inspired and address the issue of gender-based violence, empowering women in politics, credit and business skills.
That I'm seeing a big difference in the treatment of women and girls in the country, but at the same time it occurred to me that, waves also retreat. And there are areas where we really need to focus to continue to support women and girls and families in society.
The Women's Forum will continue and finish off on Friday. Adelaide Xerox, Curry National, EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, in strategy shift that seeks to boost Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling party in coming state elections, India has unveiled a budget for the poor. This saw the announcement of new rural aid schemes and skimping on a bank bailout yesterday.
Seen here, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley carries the symbolic red briefcase, leaving India's Finance Ministry before arriving at Parliament alongside Junior Finance Minister Jayant Sinha to present the budget. Copies of the budget were brought to the Parliament in a lorry with sniffer dogs and security personnel checking each one thoroughly before allowing them inside.
Right now, I can just tell you that we have taken into account the needs of everyone and it has worked. When the budget is presented, you will get to know everything.
Jaitley's spending plan sought to cast Modi as a leader who cares after the Premier came under sustained opposition fire for being too close to business and spending too much time hobnobbing with foreign leaders. Jaitley said the government wanted to spread the benefits of growth more widely among India's 1.3 billion people, but gave an assurance that it could do so without increasing borrowing. India holds several state elections this year, including in the farming state of West Bengal, with the country's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, going to the polls in 2017. A strong showing will be vital to Modi's chances of a second term, with doubts still hanging over the impact of economic reforms undertaken since his government swept to power almost 2 years ago. The spending package for the 2016 and 17 fiscal year from April 1st, mapped out by Jaitley, marked a shift from an earlier focus on investing in infrastructure that had tried to kickstart private sector investment, which still remains weak. Jaitley described his three priorities as strengthening India's firewalls by ensuring macroeconomic stability and prudent fiscal management, driving growth through domestic demand and reforms to boost economic opportunity. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
Trukai Sports is up next. Rugby in Kimbe, football and our shooters prepared to qualify for Rio. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Following the PNG Rugby Football Union's request to all unions to introduce 15s rugby, the Kimbe Rebels have made it a priority in their calendar of events for the year. President of the Kimbe Rebels, Peter Pryor, has outlined this year's key objectives for the union, which also include the staging of a sevens tournament in Kimbe Town. The PNG Rugby Football Union made it clear in their last annual general meeting, in order for each of the unions to become a fully recognised union under the PNG RFU, 15s rugby must be played consistently and regularly. West New Britain Rugby, otherwise known as the Kimbe Rebels, are understood to be one of the unions in the country which have made this a priority.
We haven't actually played a lot of 15s, so we need these 4 months to get our guys prepared for the 15 season, which will start in July. And it's only July, August. So we'll be mainly concentrating on our forwards, because like I mentioned, we haven't played any 15s, so we've got a lot of work to do with on our 15s.
Aiming to introduce the 15s comp in March, Rugby Sevens will resume in September, with the hope of hosting an invitational sevens tournament before the Black Orchid Sevens in June.
We're trying to do it a month before the Black Orchid, which is in June, so May. So we're hoping to host our sevens in May, if we can get the funding together.
The Kimbe Rebels were once circuit leaders, with key players like the Ponda brothers and Rabaul Rugby reps. The boys were once an unstoppable force on the field. However, the lack of development in the region has seen the standard of rugby drop. Pryor says over the next 2 years, the province will be focused on junior development with the hope of identifying new Rebels reps.
2 years, our main focus is junior development. We've sort of noticed our Rebels are getting older, and so we're trying to create an avenue where we can attract some younger upcoming players.
To football now, the PNG men's senior national team coach Fleming Siritslev says he is confident that the country will perform well during the OFC Nations Cup to be held in May. The Danish coach has said that after brief training camps with selected national team members, he is confident that they will represent the country well.
Siritslev feels that with the current competition showcased in the NSL, he has had a relatively easy task of selecting an able squad.
Difficult for me to say because I don't know how Papua New Guinea has been playing before, but I have a certain structure that I want our team to have, and actually for this structure we have been working on this now in 4 trainings in 3 days, and I think we have achieved a bit during those 3 days here. I'm very satisfied with the way players are acting, with the way they are training and so on, and I'm sure we will be able to build a good team.
12 players from Hekare make up the bulk of the selection, and the national coach believes that with the player understanding, it will also make it easier in terms of working together.
I've just been watching, first of all, the players' individual skills, but of course it means something when players are used to play together. It absolutely makes it easier for them to make a good performance because they know each other. So in this matter, of course, it counts. But first of all, I've been watching their individual skills.
When asked the contentious question of whether NSL leading scorer Korako Paiga would be placed as a striker instead of a defender, Siritslev was coy in his remarks.
No doubt about this. Whether I will use him as a striker or a second striker, actually I haven't decided yet, because I know he also has some very good skills when it's about defending. And you might not be popular when you say it, but actually the teams with the best defense, they are always the teams on top of the tables. So you could say it's important that you have a strong defense, and it gives confidence for the other players, for the midfield and for the attackers, because many times it actually shows up that the teams.
The national team will be travelling to the Solomon Islands by the end of March, and Siritslev will use that time to assess the strengths of his squad before further trips to Korea in preparation for the OFC Nations Cup. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. A team of 5 shooters will represent PNG for their final attempt to qualify for the Rio Olympics. In the pistol team, Mel Donald and Tanya Mari Mahura will compete in the Air Pistol 40 and Sports Pistol division in Bangkok in Thailand for the Pistol World Cup. While the shotgun team consists of Angus Donald, Danny Wanma and Darcy Lay, who will later travel to Cyprus to compete in the Shotgun World Cup between the 14th to the 18th of March.
Recent successful campaign at the Australasian Pacific Grand Prix in Brisbane, held last month at the ACTA National Shotgun Championships on the 18th to the 21st February. The PNG shooting team now has its sights set for the Olympic qualifier in Bangkok and Cyprus. The championships was attended by 19 competitors from Australia, Japan and PNG. Team PNG shooters performed well against tough competition, with Danny Wanma winning silver and Darcy Lay also won silver in the junior division.
Actually be able to not only witness how the other shooters, the other top shooters in the world perform, but also it gives them that opportunity to get used to the environment that they're going to be faced with when they get to the Rio Olympics.
Mel Donald will be accompanied by Tanya Mari Mahuru to Bangkok for the Female Pistol World Cup.
Pistol shooters, that is also the last opportunity for them to get an MQS. Same scenario. All the countries that haven't got an MQS yet will all be there. So we are expecting big numbers. We leave Port Moresby on Thursday, and we come back about 6 days later after the competition, the 8th of February, 8th of March. But
the other 3 male athletes will be traveling to Cyprus for the ISSF Shotgun World Cup from March 17 to 25th.
Cup in Cyprus is a very important competition for us. Not only is it the last opportunity for our shooters to get a minimum qualifying score for the Olympics, but it's also equally important for their experience, because all other countries that haven't qualified for the Rio Olympics are going to be attending this one championship in Cyprus.
The shooters will have to qualify for Rio before March 31st. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Maintaining the sports facilities in the nation's capital will be a costly exercise for the PNG Sports Foundation. At the recent opening of the Tarama Aquatic Centre, PNGSF's Executive Director spoke on the costs involved in maintaining each of the venues and how the foundation would meet these costly demands, while Sports Minister Justin Chachenko has challenged the foundation to ensure the venues remain at their current state in the years to come. He has also guaranteed the government's support for the next 5 years. Just over 7 months have elapsed since all sporting venues were fully operational. Since the 2015 Pacific Games in Port Moresby, the Sir John Guy Stadium has come alight with the staging of intra-Super Cup matches, hosting of the 40th independence celebrations, and occasional gigs here and there. The venue management under the PNG Sports Foundation have yet to have an understanding of the demands of each of the venues, and with the opening of all venues across the nation's capital, the foundation has a challenging task at hand.
The management and team will have to look at all avenues to make them self-sufficient in the long term, and I can't see why they cannot do that. Some areas will not be self-sufficient. The High Performance Centre and others, it depends how we manage it and operate it. But other areas like hiring out the facilities and making money from the hire and emissions of public utilising and joining up to these facilities, that's where the money can be made.
While Sports Minister Chachenko has assured the government's support of 5 years as part of their commitment towards the legacy program, he has said the foundation will use this as a trial and error period and will by then have an idea of how much revenue will be needed to maintain and sustain the facilities.
Facilities are now open to make a revenue, to self-sustain them in the long term. Those facilities now can be hired out not only for sporting activities and competitions, but also for public events and exhibitions and things like that, to make a revenue out of them as well. The government is committed for 5 years to sponsor and support the administration and management of these facilities.
The Foundation's aspirations to ensure that the facilities are maintained, making it operational, will actually give us an indicator of how we can better manage the facility, and also just to really see the revenue that is going to be brought into the facility. No facility in the world could ever make a profit, but having said that, they always need government support. Any facility in the world needs government support.
Chamalili said the opening of the venues will see the full operations, allowing the foundation to identify how to better manage the facilities.
To capture the public into the venues will allow us also to gauge where we are in terms of the maintenance, what we've put together in terms of predicting some of our costs, anticipating some of our costs. Now we'll be able to just mirror off. In the next few months, we can actually start to see the business plan coming to life.
And that ends Trukai Sports. You're with the details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Now looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, a shower or two for Port Moresby, Daru and Alotau, and showers for Kerema and Popondetta. Now recapping our top stories for tonight. Alarming figures reveal prisoners held for years without verdict. Prime Minister describes late Steven Kamma as a man of calibre, and operations at Ok Tedi recommenced today. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Tuesday the 1st of March 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.